The second rule we will explore under the broader aim of expressing potent prose is Rule 7. Make sentences positive. In general, a positive assertion is more effective than a negative assertion. I'd like to start by quoting William Strunk, whose book, Elements of Style, which was written about or close to 100 years ago, I based my Elements of Academic Style on. So he says, make definite assertions, avoid tame, colorless, hesitating, non-committal language. This quote sums up all I want to say about this rule, but like many things, it's much easier said than done. So what I'll do is give you concrete measures for implementing this rule. This can be achieved by avoiding the word not. Readers would like to know what is. They are dissatisfied with being told what is not. Positivity can also be achieved by changing the meaning of the sentence so that rather than negating a certain quality, you are affirming the opposite. We want to avoid the word not in particular. As a means of negating, it's actually quite weak. So let's look at the example that we have here. She was not punctual often. Okay, so this is the negative form, and the positive form is she was often late. He did not think that studying Shakespeare was much use. He thought that studying Shakespeare was useless. All right, so in the first example, rather than negating punctuality, we can simply assert what she was, which is late. And in the second example, again, we're using not to express his opinion about studying Shakespeare. But we can easily make the sentence positive by using the negative form of use or use, which is useless. Now, instead of telling the reader what is not, you're telling him what is. Notice that when we make the negative sentences positive, the number of words also decreases. All right, let's look at negative meaning and positive form. So let me start off by reading the example on the left-hand side. The Taming of the Shrew is rather weak in spots. Shakespeare does not portray Catherine as a very admirable character, nor does Bianca remain long in memory as an important character in Shakespeare's works. In this longer example, we have multiple issues. But unlike the previous two examples, the problem here is not simply the use of the word not, but the problem is that because what is being negated is so general, the passage ends up expressing very little. In particular, I'm referring to phrases such as weak in spots, not admirable, not remaining long in memory. I hate to break it to you guys, but students love this type of general negation because they don't need to have a deep understanding of the topic at hand. While in the previous two examples, there was at least an implied affirmation in the negations, there isn't much being implied here. Of course, it's difficult to rephrase this because we don't know exactly what the writer had in mind, assuming that he had something in mind. But most likely, the writer didn't read The Taming of the Shrew at all, in any depth, of course, and probably watched a 2-minute YouTube video on it. Had the writer really read the play, he would have said something such as this. The women in The Taming of the Shrew are unattractive. Catherine is disagreeable, Bianca insignificant. Some common expressions using not, which are to be avoided at all costs, include the following. Not honest. not important, did not remember, did not pay any attention to, did not have much confidence in. Now let's change these expressions into positive expressions. So we have, instead of not honest, dishonest. Instead of not important, we have trifling. Instead of did not remember, forgot. Instead of did not pay any attention to, ignored. And instead of did not have much confidence in, distrusted. Again, the benefit here is twofold. First, you're telling the reader what is rather than what is not. Second, you're expressing the same meaning in fewer words. However, we can take this rule a step further. Rather than just making the sentence grammatically positive, we can also make the meaning positive. This naturally requires more significant changes. So let's take a look at the negative meaning first. Blood loss reduces strength. Being indifferent to suffering goes against sympathy. Now let's look at the positive meaning and form version of each of these. Blood gives strength. Being alive to suffering favors sympathy. And here as well, we can make both the form and meaning positive. So let's first read the negative meaning and form. It can't be denied that beauty is not just about outward appearance. If the accused doesn't plead guilty, he will not be spared the death penalty. Beauty has an inner dimension. So just take a look at that. The original had 12 words, and we've reduced it to less than half, just by making both the meaning and the form positive. And in the second example, if the accused pleads guilty, he will be spared the death penalty. Ask yourselves, which one is easier to understand, to comprehend? The examples on the left or the examples on the right?